So there's 2 clips on either side, and basically we're just going to sit it in there. And it just snaps into place. Certainly easy enough for kids. This button up here is Bluetooth. And this is kind of a navigational button. But you know, I'm going to be a good girl because there are some very basic instructions. I heard the instructions is supposed to be pretty walk up and use. And that there aren't a lot of instructions that are in the box with the robot, but surely it gives a little bit of guidance about how to turn the brick on and check the battery level. The second thing you're really going to notice, and there are some really adorable, cute stickers. Very cute stickers. We'll figure out where they go. Lego has always been known for stickers. Like I said, hopefully this is called the Quick Start Guide, and hopefully it is just that and tells us some quick start stuff. I think I'm good with battery warnings and how to handle that. It's more like an advertising brochure so far. I'm not seeing any real quick start help, like nothing in here on how to turn the brick on so far. Lots of different languages all in one. Showing me what I'm supposed to expect in the box. Yeah, okay. So it does say put the battery in. Shows a picture of how to do that. And it's giving me a breakdown of all the parts included in the box. And it's telling me about sizing for pins. Okay, stuff that I don't need yet. So sizing for pins. Parts that are in the box if I wanted to do an inventory, which I am not going to bother doing. And my battery stuff, but still know how to turn it on. So let me pause for just a minute. I'm sure it's probably obvious. The old brick, you would just push down the center button. So let's try that. That seems to have done something. The little light is on up here. Oh, and look, there's my brick. Sure is. I still don't know how to tell. That looks like a lot of dots. I'm just guessing maybe those dots go away as I lose power, as it powers down, but I seem to have a pretty decent amount of power right now. Let me go grab the other robot, the old robot. So please forgive me that the wires on this robot are such a mess. This is my demo working non-competition robot. And so on the old brick, you can see where it had an LCD screen. And there was a lot of information to be gathered from the LCD screen. So the new robot doesn't have an LCD screen, but he can communicate through the colored squares and some other things that he does. And I believe there's colored LEDs. It's not just this orange tone beige kind of a thing. And it's all about the Bluetooth. Although there is a port for direct connecting this brick to the computer system, just like there is on this robot. But look at the size of this brick. I mean, look at it, right? And then look at the size of this brick. As a lot of other YouTubers that have reviewed the kit have said, the brick is a lot smaller. Other noticeable things are, of course, where the pins attach to the sides of the brick. That's a little bit different as well. So, you know, you're not going to be able to take this brick and just drop it down into an EV3 build for one of their robots and expect it to attach up just right because of the form factor and the size. Although I'm sure there's ways to add on some beams on the side that would make this a little bit bigger so that you would be able to drop it in. That's probably something I want to do to experiment. I'm sure somebody else has already done it. The other most noticeable thing to mention about the brick is that there are 3 ports on this side and 3 ports on this side, and they're literally on the sides, all right? On the old brick, there are 4 ports on the top and 4 ports on the bottom. And with the old brick, the 4 on the, let's see which way this goes to. The 4 on the top are motor ports only. So the large servo motors that run the wheels, and I don't have a medium motor mounted to this, but the medium motors that would move attachments and such. And the 4 on the bottom are for sensors. So the color sensor, the gyro sensor, the touch sensor, those types of things. So you had to plug, not only do you have to communicate to the code what port your stuff is in, but you have to make sure you plug your stuff into the right ports. And at the beginning of the year, when I start out with robotics, one of the things we look at is a diagram of what goes into what ports and what the well-known ports are, because like you always want to plug, typically we plug the color sensors into 1 and 3 and the ultrasonic into 4 and the 2 large servo motors into B and C. And you know, people that work with the robot, they just know that that's what you typically do, so that you can move from your code to somebody else's code and not have to plug and unplug things. But with a new robot, all right, the 6 ports, so that's 2 less now, the 6 ports can be for the motors or the sensors. It doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. You can plug them in any way you want to. So that's good. There's also a built-in gyro sensor. No having to have the little gyro sensor anymore. And this one was a really basic gyro. You know, the technology's come a long way since 2013 when they released the original robot, right? Remember, that was September of 13. That was a long, that was almost 8 years. So the gyro sensor in here, I'm trying to think of the right word. It's escaping me now, but the points of orientation, the angle of reading of the movement, it's a lot better. Let's just go with it's a lot better. So we've lost 2 ports, but we have a built-in gyro sensor. So really netted out, we've only lost 1 port. And even on Sumo bots where we had 2 large motors, 2 color sensors, a touch sensor, an ultrasonic sensor, and the gyro sensor, that's 8. So 7 of the gyro sensors, 6, 7, 7. I messed that up, didn't I? Let's try that again. So even in Sumo bots where we had 2 large servo motors, 2 color sensors, a medium motor for an attachment, a touch sensor maybe, and the gyro sensor, so that's 7 sensors. It would be really, you know, sometimes people wanted to add a second ultrasonic sensor. I can't get that finger up. A second ultrasonic sensor on the back, so that would be 8. But even then, when we're talking, we've got 7 here, really, if we've got the gyro sensor built in. I don't think it's going to be too limiting is what I'm trying to say. I don't think it's going to be too limiting. So, let's see, what should we do next? We probably should spend just a minute talking about the difference in the coding platform for the new robot versus the old robot. I know the old robot can use the new robot platform. I'm not so sure that if it goes the other way or not. Probably should confirm that one way or the other. But, you know, the Lego original software was built on LabVIEW from the 70s, like really old stuff. It makes me feel good since I'm a IBM mainframe programmer and, you know, system 370, 390, you know, assembler, old school stuff. Like, I get it. You know, everybody had to start somewhere, right? And Lego did, I think, groundbreaking stuff when they built a drag and drop front end interface for LabVIEW for students to code with, to learn with. Something that was more than, you know, just adult programming where you've got to type everything right and space everything right and format things really particularly. I think they did a great job of putting a user-friendly, colorful, kid-friendly, new programmer-friendly interface on the front. And but with the new robot, they've gone one step farther in trying to, I don't know, some would say simplify it down, some would say improve it, some might say dumb it down. They've wrapped it in Scratch from MIT. So it is a even more of a click interface, and an interface all of these students coming up, like starting with 4th graders, have probably seen in one variety or another. They've probably done some Scratch program, seen Scratch. Yes, the 4th graders coming in, they've probably programmed something in Scratch already. So I get why they've done this, but they do still support Robot C, and you can code in Python. And so for older, more experienced programmers, you can still use real programming languages. But I think to get everybody started, to get everybody off the ground, switching over to Scratch, I think it's a good move. It's a cool move. It's just pretty neat. Yeah, before I move over to the computer, let me just say that I've got 2.5 hours until my robotics team meets today. And I've teased them with a picture of the cardboard box and the battery and a boost robot about what's coming today, but they don't know yet. And my goal in the next 2.5 hours is to build this robot so I can demonstrate it, because we've built the tall EV3 robot before, although I don't currently have it built. And you know, there's a similar walking robot for the old robot that I've built before. He shoots balls, he's got a launcher arm, he's pretty bad, as in cool. So I want to get this guy built if I can, no stress if I don't. Teach myself as much about this robot as I can. I'll hook up Bluetooth to my MacBook here, which is what I'm going to use for my programming. Continue making some content for this video along the way as I learn all that stuff. I'm probably going to switch over to my WeVideo platform here while I'm doing the computer work of getting it hooked up to the Bluetooth. The instructions are online. They're going to be in there too, so I need to see them. So that's my short-term goals for this afternoon. And like I said, I've got right at 2.5 hours, so I need to be pretty productive. And I have on my teaching mode voice today, my coach mode, my disseminate information mode. So hopefully those that watch the channel that have some interest in Legos or what to get their kid for Christmas or birthday, or you're a student yourself and you've been following because you're interested, you know, hopefully there's little groups of people out there that are interested in this content. As you know, besides talking about what I'm building, I talk about Lego robotics at least once a week during the robotics season, which I tend to run for the entire school year. So from August to end of April, early May. We're approaching the end of this school year. So this will be one of the last times we meet this year, but not the last. Yeah, so there's the WeVideo platform, and that's what I use to make the daily videos. If you're interested in that, leave me a comment, and we can always talk about that on a different day. I have this picture from, let's see, the fall of 2014. Actually, I think this is the spring of 15. This is sort of toward the end of the year, but this was the very first year I coached, and these were the kids on my team. And we had these really awesome shirts. One of the students in the picture here, he drew the panther and made it Legoized, roboticized. And anyway, we had a really good time that year. Michelle's older son is in the picture. I won't call him out, but this is how Michelle and I met. So it was the fall of 14 when she brought her son in to be on my robotics team. But let's go over here. I have it installed on my MacBook, Lego Mindstorms. The icon looks like this. This is the new school coding, Lego Mindstorms education here. And let's see, I think there's the education. There might have been a retail version too. I'm not sure. But anyway, this is the old school programming, and folks on the channel have seen that before. It is sort of a drag and drop thing. But it's not Scratch. It's not the new stuff. So let's bring up the new guy, and I clicked off the welcome, the splash screen, and it took me to the menu. And this looks very similar to the original Lego EV3 retail version, where you would come up and you would have robots that you could build. So as I said, I want to build Blast, and I haven't looked at any of this. This is like walk up and use, which I think there's some value in that. I'll cut it if I struggle too hard, but I'll certainly want you guys to follow along with me. So basically it's got building instructions here, and it says general, welcome robot inventors. Let's see what's behind here. Let's get started. I think I have the sound turned off because it's probably copyrighted music anyway, and I want you to be able to hear me. It is just sort of showing you how these things attach to the robot. It doesn't look, there wasn't too much stuff there. That's okay. So it's showing you I can connect the motors and sensors. And if I had a lot of time, I might just want to do that and sort of learn about them individually. But I don't feel like that's where I need to start. And like I said, I'm not worried about missing parts or sensors that don't work. If I come across something, I'll deal with it then. So let's click on Blast. I want to build Blast. And there's a lot of pictures and a lot of instructions, and they have organized it. And this is very similar to the old school stuff too. I mean, Lego has been writing instructions for constructing things with Legos. I don't know what year it started, but at least as far back as the 60s. So probably longer than I've been alive. And they know what they're doing. They rarely mess up the steps. All is good. So to me, it looks like, they're going to build this basic framework guy. And then in step 4, they have, time to move. This is the real, what humans perceive robots to look like looking robots. But without, I'm going to do the right thing here. I'm going to check out and see what step 1 says to do. Activate the display, build Blast head, and design the display, it says. All right. I'm going to go ahead and say build. That's fine. And it's going to start us out with the breadboard, like I said. This is pretty sure it's a new part, and if it's not 100% new, it's certainly new in this color, and the way it's used in this particular kit is going to be pretty new. So I have the breadboard. I'm going to go ahead and turn the other camera on. I'm going to move the robot over here to my left so I can see, and I'm going to put the breadboard on the right, and I'm going to point the other camera down here so we have options. So I am familiar with these corner pieces. I apologize in advance for any crinkling happening as I open these bags. These are like really awesome. I think the way it's having me build the head and not use the platform, at the very end, it's going to have me take the robot off of the platform. I just got a sneaking suspicion that's what's happening. I have lots of these parts in the garage. So if I needed them, I would be able to. And, Lego is, I was a big counted cross stitch girl in the 90s, lots of counted cross stitch. And I would say building Legos is very similar to doing counted cross stitch, because you're just basically counting squares and deciding the right spot to insert pieces. And if you mess it up, you get to pull it out and start over. And it's really, really similar. And like I said, it's showing me there's steps 2 through 10. There's not a lot of steps here. Now it wants me to put on these bracket pieces. I'm really familiar with this size bracket. That is a bigger bracket. So let me figure out what bag that is in. Should be pretty easy to spot. I'm sorry, I realize I need to stop moving my screen around because I'm recording me also, and you guys don't need to see that bouncing all over the place. So I'm sorry about that. And here's these bigger, I'm thinking here. So this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I mean, as best as I can tell, it shows it going up like this, but that doesn't, I'm confused. right away I'm confused now. This is bigger brackets. This is still not the right bracket. So let's look one more time. Here's the biggest brackets. So there are at least three sizes of these brackets in this kit. And here are the ones that it really wants. And I'm just going to say I've never seen a bracket this big. It's not a negative. I'm just telling you I've not seen this big bracket before. So I'm trying to line it up now, get it into the holes. And I would say possibly that putting those things, that I think it would have been better if we'd have put these on the bracket first and then stuck the bracket on the breadboard, because I am having a really hard time doing it the other way around. Either way will work. This is Lego building. If things are not snapping together right, you don't want to break your plastic pieces, right? But this is just, at least on that one side, it wasn't sliding in very easily for me. I'm sort of getting it on the other side now. Wow, that is not, and that's right off the bat, the very first thing you got to do for blast. So my recommendation on these instructions is to do step 2 first, and then do step 1, or do step, attach those corner brackets to the large square first, and then insert it in the breadboard. And the thing of it is all of these Lego pieces are brand new. They've never been snapped together before, so they're really crisp. Because some of my robots, I've been using the parts for forever, and they still hold together really well, but they're not going to be as crisp as a brand new, that Lego snapping sound. So now it wants me to attach a couple of beams for stability. The beams being the teal pieces. They're 9 holes long, or 9 studs long, and it's got 4 of these standard black connecting pins. So because I've worked with the robot a long time, I can just kind of look at the beams and I'll know. I'm going to verify the length before I attach them, but I'll just kind of know that that's right. So 2, 4, 6, 8, 9. That's what those are. And it's telling me here that I need 2 of them, 1 on each side. And let me find the bag. Usually the black connector pins, they would sort of be by themselves. And here's where we're going to get out the Corel ware, because we can't have little black pins floating around all over the floor. We need to, probably should have gone to the garage and just got some pins and not even opened this bag, but that's all right. We'll keep the new crisp Robot Inventor pins separate. And 1 on each end, and then put it on over here. It looks like it goes on the 3rd hole up, according to the diagram. Not sure if that's important. I mean, if you don't know that it's not important, you should follow the instructions. I suspect this beam is just for stability, and exactly where you place it may not be too particularly relevant, but that's all right. So, all right, we're done with step 4. Go on to step 5. Now, step 5 is putting on some of the really small squares. Try to find those small squares. And there's quite a few of these in the kit. Just going to put them on the outside. I assume it's attaching them with the same pins. But 3 of them this time, because there's 3 holes on the side. Now, when you're building with Legos, you never want to make, and these are technique parts, TECHNIC parts. If you, when you're building, in order for things not to wobble, you always want a minimum of 2 pin attachment. I mean, think about how many points make up a line, right? 2 or more. 3 pin attachment is better than a 2 pin attachment for stability. Depends on how long what you're trying to attach is, but I certainly understand why they use 3 pins here instead of 2. 2 would have technically kept it in place, but 3 is better. And now it's telling me I can put the battery in, which I already did because, I'm a robot battery girl. And it's putting some of those connection pins onto the brick itself. try to find what bag those are in. I'm not seeing them right offhand. Sorry again for the crinkling. Lots of crinkling. Here they're in. I'm not sure there's any, you know, when you're building one of the Lego things, houses or whatever that come, the bags are numbered and they have real meaning. These bags don't appear to have a number, and they don't, other than they've grouped like size parts together, they don't appear to have a particular organizational meaning. All right, that's on. And now it has these antenna things. I do not think that they actually serve a purpose other than to look like a robot head, but I'm pretty sure about that. Let me see if I can spot those. They look kind of delicate. Again, we're still doing a lot of, we want to make our robots look like a humanoid. And so I think these pins here, that's really what they're doing. Yeah, right about now, I'm wishing that this kit had, here they're in this bag, had bag numbers and told me what numbers the parts were in. And it's not a big deal. It's just slowing me down a little bit. So there's one of the antennas. Whoops. I accidentally hit my touchpad and it advanced me on to the next step. Here's the other antenna, and I'm just going to go out on a limb and say, I don't see those attachment pieces in that bag, so I'm going to have to hunt them now. I am familiar with that piece, so if I see it, I'll know it. All right, it's in this bag. So I literally think I've opened up almost all the bags now. Hopefully they won't just go flying onto the floor. So here is one of these, and here's a second one. And I need two. These gray pins are, I believe they're frictionless. I don't know. When it comes to pins, you need to use the color pin it tells you to use. When other Lego parts like beams or whatever, those pins, the color of those parts doesn't matter. It can be confusing to people new to Lego robotics, which parts the colors matter and which parts they don't matter. It can be a little confusing. Like I said, if I had brought in my bins from the garage, I'd have all of my Technique parts in it. Okay, you cannot be making that noise while I'm talking. That's not working, so don't do it. I understand it's a cardboard box and that they're very tempting. Yeah, I'm trying to find these pins. I'm seeing longer versions. I'm not seeing the shorter version. Got to be here somewhere. Here they are. They're in this bag. All right, so we just got 3 more steps to go here. And we'll get this first. We'll be done with the first part of building our blast robot. And it says I needed 2 of those. And I can just see it now. I'm going to have pins go flying. It's just the way it is. So, it wants me to put the pin into the holder and then the antenna into the pin. Like so. And I can tell these pieces of plastic, that's literally all they are. It's just a piece of plastic. It's just making our robot look humanoid, like giving it antenna, or what our science fiction perceived robot would look like. And here's our brick. Like this, like so. It looks like this pin is in the closest hole. I'm going to slide it into the closest hole. And another major difference between the new robot and the old robot, whoops, I didn't mean to do that. I pressed his little button, is that instead of using the ultrasonic sensor for eyes and making that be the head of the robot. And these new robot builds, the brick itself is the head, is the eyes, and it's expressive with the LED lights and such too. And now it's saying mount this guy, and there's an odd number of pins, so it won't be exactly in the middle. But I am trying to, I would say when you're building this, you know, I had already turned the brick on and I haven't learned how to turn it off yet. Should probably just press and hold the button and it toggles back the other way if I had to guess. But that has caused me just a little bit of stuff. And let's see what's our last step here. I don't know. I didn't add anything on that step, right? I don't think so. I just put it on and then it's showing what it is. And we are done and ready to connect the hub to the computer. All right, onward. The next step, connecting. And just briefly, like I said, ultrasonic sensor used to be the eyes, and now we're going to use the actual brick for the head, eyes, the expressive part of the robot. Get Wii video restarted back here. Recording. Yeah, if I haven't said, this is like, this is better than Halloween candy for me. Maybe not better than opening up Christmas presents, but pretty darn close to opening up Christmas presents too, because essentially it is a present. So it wants me to connect to the hub. Actually sort of messed that up. So we got to connect to the hub by pressing the hub icon in the upper right-hand corner. Okay, so it's telling me to press up here. Insert the cable into the hub and insert the cable into the device. So this is meant to be used with iPads, Android tablets, MacBooks, Windows computers. It's not fussy. But I'm going to guess when I pull up this cable here that I'm going to have to go get my Type-C adapter. Yeah, it's got a standard USB-A and a micro USB. The micro going into the robot itself, which I hate, by the way. Please, Lego, why would you give my elementary students a micro into the brick? Please, why? The old brick was a macro, so it was one notch bigger and one notch less delicate. This one is, why did they not do Type-C? I'm sure when Don sees this, he'll be saying exactly the same thing, because there's only so many connections you're going to get out of a micro. But I guess once I do the Bluetooth is so good now, let me back up a step, that once I get it connected up and everything, I should never have to really connect it up again. So let me go get my USB-A to C adapter so I can plug it into my MacBook. Yeah, I've got this really snazzy red thing here. Can't miss it over by my computer stuff. Now I've got a C end. I can plug it in. And here we go. I'm just saying, really, if I had been in a boardroom with the people designing this thing and they'd have used a micro instead of a C, I would have been having an argument with them. I mean, I would have, oh yeah. All right. So it's telling me there's a firmware update, of course. See all the, the Tesla's computer on wheels. Yeah, we got firmware updates here with the little robot. So let's begin. Usually these firmware updates in the past, they have not taken a super long time. So I'm hopeful we're talking a minute here versus 30 minutes. It seems like it's moving on along. I have updated the old bricks, the old robot bricks before, and it's pretty fast. It's not a huge footprint here on the brick. I'm playing the Jeopardy song in my head. Good time for a sip of water, because I've been doing so much talking. And we are 1 hour into my 2.5 hour window. I did take a few minutes and put parts into bowls. Not every single bag, but I've got like 6 or 7 bowls worth of parts now. That just works for me. You do what works for you. One other thing we can take a minute to talk about here. and this is a really interesting something, is these are the wheels for the new robot. They are radically different wheels. They fit the same way with a crosshair, a T, an axle connector hole. So the old wheels will fit anywhere these wheels fit or should. But these are more of a hard rubber surface. I think it's analogous to a spare tire, a dedicated donut tire. It's just a really hard rubber. These are one type of old school wheel, and it's a really soft rubber on a real looking wheel rim. You say that fast 3 times. So these come in at least 3 sizes, and there's motorcycle wheels, and there's treads, and there's construction equipment wheels with deeper grooves, and there's a lot. If you just even Google Lego wheels, that's an afternoon's worth of reading. But I don't think these have been used before. These hard donut spare tire looking wheels, and yeah, that's pretty interesting. I'm thinking better reliability because there's so much flex in these wheels, but I'm also thinking these grip better. So like for sumo bots, maybe these, but for precision moving down the table, maybe these. I'm guessing it's all about, no cardboard. I'm guessing it's all about the precision. That's just my guess. I'll be looking to see what other coaches are thinking about it. We are almost done with that firmware upgrade. Hopefully the information on the wheels was interesting. Trying to see if I spot that differential part. Although I think we sort of have to build it. It's in the middle of last, so we will get to it during this build. We are going to be, we will get to it. Almost done, 91%. Gotta have the latest and greatest software. As a Tesla girl, I totally appreciate that. I see the brick has changed what lights are lit during the firmware update. They're all on. So it is a 25 light display. It's 5x5. Okay, HubOS has been updated. Do I get to name it? I think I read for this that you actually don't. It says your motors must be updated. So, that's nice. Does that mean I have to connect my motors to update them? I'm really thinking that's what that means. So, I'm trying to follow all the instructions here and not just go off thinking I know what I'm doing. Trying really hard, Donnie, to read the instructions. He would tease me from time to time about not doing that. This plastic's tough. I actually could use the scissors. So I'm just going to connect the motors, and then I'm going to click on update motors, and we'll go from there. It would have been nice if, the students were, and this is, I don't know what it is, but it's not Ethernet and it's not telephone. It is something else, and it does appear to only go one way. The old Lego connectors, I always worried about them a lot. They were very Ethernet-like. They had that little pin on them that you would push. But I have to say that as much as I worried and gave guidance to the students and talked to them about being careful with them and stuff, I didn't really have them I was worried about the cables being destroyed, not the actual sensor itself. And I did not ever have that happen. 1 or 2 cables is sort of loose at this point in time, and we only use them when we don't have another one, but they do still work. So this is my first time using this type of connector and plugging it in, and this is kind of interesting here. In order to see, let's so that I can plug this fourth one in down here, I need to, I'm having trouble seeing. Okay, this way? Yeah, this way. There really isn't a top and a bottom. It looks like a sideways E almost. No center bar though. All right, I believe all 4 sensors should be plugged in. Okay, so connect all 4 motors to the hub. I've done that. Of course, you had me attach the hub to the bracket, and then the bracket made it hard to plug in all 4 motors, but that's okay. Attach the lock to the motor. Okay, make sure the markers on the motor are aligned. I don't understand. I do see that funky part, that little black circular looking object. It figures it's in the bag that I didn't open. I really only have like 2 bags unopened at this point. And so lock. Do I have enough for each motor all at one time? I would need 8 if I do, since the picture is showing 1 motor uses 2. Let's get another bowl. Stop crinkling. The crinkling, I know it's annoying. If it's annoying me, I'm sure it's annoying you. And I'm just trying to see if there are 2 more of those pieces. And the answer would be not in that bag. So this is where I would grab that handy dandy quick start guide that they gave me that didn't have a lot of information but had a little bit of information in it. And let's see how many of that part they think they gave me, so I'll know if I need to look harder for the part or not. I have to say, at this point, I'm really ready to get building my robot. And all of this groundwork is sort of, I'm ready to be done with it. So it says it came with 6, and I have 6, yet it wants me to do all 4 motors at one time, and then I don't have enough to do that with. Make sure the markers on the motor are aligned. Well, it's sort of telling me what to do here. So let's just start with 1 motor and go from there. So it is showing a line. Now the old motors, the old medium motors, this is basically the form factor of a medium motor. There are no large servo motors in this new robot. They're all medium in size. I guess, you know, the smaller motors can be more powerful. You don't need the bigger motors now. So it is lined up, this particular one. Let me just go ahead and verify that. I'm sure they, this one is, other one is not lined up. That one's lined up, and it let me move it no problem. This is sort of, I think for right now, I'll reattach the brick in a little bit to our little platform. But for right now, it being attached to that is not helpful to me. So I'm going to unattach it. And they show 2 motors on each side. Let me see how this feels pulling these out. So there's nothing to press, it's just the pull. I think with younger students, we're going to have to talk to them about making sure to pull on the plastic and not pull on the ribbon cable itself. I can see younger students would be tempted. It's kind of like when I'm with the vacuum cleaner and I'm 15 feet away from it, and what I want to do is I just want to pull the cable out of the wall so I can wind the cord up, but I know that I need to walk over to the wall and pull the cable out of the socket and not be lazy and destroy the cord and make Dawn have to replace it. It's sort of the same thing here with these motors. So they are able to be turned now that I can grip my hand on it to put the dot basically where the, although I have to say they don't turn easily there. That one's straight now. Generally, I would tell my students not to force the motors. I can hear it in there, but I'm just following the instructions here, folks. And if they can't stand up to a little bit of manual movement, they're not going to last in a classroom with students, right? Okay, so all 4 of them have the little holes lined up now, and they're plugged in, and it's showing me these larger pins, which I saw when I was unpacking but didn't open yet. Again, I have 5 tons of these pins out in the garage in my Lego robotics bins, which I don't generally keep in the house. And it's telling me to put the pin through the circle, the little gear. It's not exactly a gear. I don't know what you would call this piece. It's not a gear. It's gear-like. And then it also wants me to put in an axle with a pin. That's that brown part. And it's a 3 long one with the pin head. So they've given me some. Uh-oh. They've given me some 5 longs and some 3 longs here. And I am looking for, they did give me 4 of those pins, although like I said, I only have 3 of these contraptions here. They did not give me 8 pieces. They only gave me 6. So I have built that now, and they want me to put it on my motor, and the teeth and the pins have all lined up, so that's good. And again, I guess it's showing me to make sure that my pole is in alignment. Yeah. All right, so we're going to have to do this a couple of times. That kind of messed up. So I'm missing already. I am missing the Ethernet feeling cable because it's pretty hard to get my finger up there. And if I'm having trouble with my finger, I know the kids are going to have trouble with their finger. So, yeah, not sure how I feel about, like I said, with the old robot, the only thing I ever worried about were the cables. Really, pretty much were the cables. And it looks like with this new robot, there's a bit more to worry about. Them not destroying accidentally. I know the kids would never. Yeah, it wants me to attach the lock to the motor to continue. This motor, it is still lined up. I put the pin in upside down. Pay attention, Maryann. Less talking, more. So when you get a pin in the wrong way, take one that's loose and push in from the other end to get it back out. Be careful not to bend the really long axle pieces. You don't want to bend it. So this is the pin head is supposed to go on the end that's flush. Legos is very forgiving if you make a mistake. Yeah, see this one, it moved it and it knew that I had not locked it into place. And since I have enough of these to do one more, I'll just do a batch of 3 and a batch of 1. So my next thought process to the Lego people were to be to include 2 more of these parts, because why do you want to make people have to do this in 2 batches? I see no plus side to that, Lego company. You know, this is a 3 to 5 cent piece. And I'm sure, like Tesla, I'm sure they're trying to keep the cost down on things they build. But, you know, I think we could afford a couple more of those. Yeah, those ports are close together, and it's hard to get your finger on the pin. So I'll be interested maybe to do some reading as to what other. All right, I swear those 3 are locked and ready to go. Yes, I've got it the way it's supposed to be now. Well, the other thing is that this is actually on the wrong side. Boy, I'm making some rookie mistakes here. This is actually on the side that doesn't have the platter, now that I look more closely at the picture. Well, I'm just getting used to these motors because, you know, they're different. We never had to do this with the old motor, so I don't even know. I guess they're trying to make sure that they're aligned. They're, what's the word I'm looking for? Just that they're aligned properly, calibrated, that they're calibrated properly is what I would call what we're doing here. So, all right. So, connect to the hub. Gold blast head, which I did. Connect to the hub. So my hub's still on. Yes, and I can see from this upper right-hand corner, it knows about my hub, and it knows I have 3 motors currently connected. Now it's talking about designing blast display. It does not look like it's giving me the option to calibrate my motors again. So I'm not going to be too happy about that. Yeah, it's all right. Trying to figure out how I would get back to calibrate the motors, because it doesn't seem to be giving me that option now. All right, so it's really easy to find this. You just click on the hub and then the more dots and update motors, and then start. I just Googled it. It wasn't hard to find it. I'm not the first person to leave that screen by accident and then need help getting back to that screen. So I have built the motors the way they have asked me to. I have the little lock on the side opposite the little gray platter. It's just taking me back through to make sure that I know what I'm doing here. I'm going to say done, and it is updating them. So it knows what ports I'm in. There's a, and the ports are labeled A, B, C, D, E, and F. I never had an F before. We had an A, B, C, D, and a 1, 2, 3, 4. So it's updating them one at a time. It started with the 1 in C. I don't know how it chose. So remove the lock from motor C. So this is the one for C, this one. And the lock is just this black thing here. And press continue. Motor C is updated correctly. So update motor E. And it's asking me to build what's in E, and we know that I have already done the build part, but that's fine. I'm gonna go ahead and stick the lock in this other one. As I said, they only gave me 3 and you need 4, in my humble opinion. Remove the lock from the motor in E, and that is this ribbon. I'm gonna do that. Continue. And it allows it to spin just a bit. Update what's in F. It'll be interesting to see if the one that I just plugged in, the other one, if it knows about it and wants me to build it. Thank goodness it's just a few steps to click through. It's updating F now. It's going to be this guy when it tells me to remove the ribbon cable or the lock. Yeah, it would be nice if the reminder to update the motors was persistent until completed, but I get how the user, me, leaves the screen and then, you know, you got to kind of get back there. I wonder what would have happened if I hadn't done it and had just proceeded. And does it know about the other one? It does not. So but that's okay. So I needed to get to do the motor in D, and I'm just going to click on this again. Update motors, start. I think what I'm going to have to do is exit out of here, unfortunately. And it does not know which ones it has and hasn't done, so I'm going to need to remove the ones I've completed and just leave in the one I haven't completed. Okay. Again, Lego Corp, this could totally have been avoided for me if you'd have given me one more lock. Says motor D is not locked, and that's because I put the lock on the wrong side again. I'm gonna get frustrated with myself if I keep on making these mistakes. But if I can do it, you can too. So do the right thing and don't make my mistakes. Oh, I gotta line it up first. It will not go in the pin correctly down here if it's not lined up. All right, sorry about that. Build. Just confirming the lock goes on the side opposite the platter. I've done that. It's now updating the motor. Oh, that was so much fun. So I'm not going to get blast belt before robotics today, but that's okay. I will run them through sort of what I've been running through with you guys, and then I'll get blast belt for next week, and that'll give me content for next week's robotics meeting, so we're good. It says to remove the lock, and then it's done. I like the little noise it makes, little clicking noise. All right. So now they want me to go ahead and build blast head. I will go ahead and put blast. Does not need motors connected right now. Yeah, it's harder to get the little plugs in and out, and I don't think it's just a tightness, newness thing. I think it's just harder to get the pins in and out. I kind of am missing the little Ethernet pins. I'm sure others will say that's blasphemy and the new way is 100% better, but my little hands are not too happy with the I think that meant my computer memory, that message that popped up there. Well, first off, I don't mean to have Dropbox open, so let's quit out. I usually, after I reboot, I want this up. You do not want to run Smart Scan. Yeah, I have 248 megabytes of memory available right now. That's not too good. But I can't close Chrome because I'm using the video editing tool. This happens to me all the time on this Mac. It doesn't really quite have enough memory. But if I tell this cleanup tool that to free up the memory, it will get rid of things I'm not currently using, and I should run more smoothly after that. And I've had trouble with lots of different software and the memory. So now I have 5.17 gigabytes of memory, and hopefully I can proceed without problems. Oh, so I build blast head. So it took me, somehow I got off my instructions. So I've done that step. And now connect to the hub, which I have already done. And so I'm on step 3, design blast display. Press the play button, and it's making it purple for me down here to download and run the code on blast. you can choose other animations using the animation block. So Blast is currently showing this boring triangle, and when I download and run the software, not enough memory. Okay, I'm going to close Mindstorms, and then I'm just going to verify that I do have 4 gigabytes of memory, and I'm going to restart Mindstorms because we want to allocate memory back to this. And I have already updated my motors, so it was going to remind me the next time I came in. I guess if people would exit out and come in, it would have reprompted them. That would have also worked. And I am still on step 1, which is fine. I've built his head, I've connected the hub, I want to design the display. I'm pressing the play arrow here. It looks like I have enough memory. And it's just a little back and forth eyeball looking thing. And it's basically saying I can come here and scanning, shut down, and spinning are known animations, and I can also go into the animation editor and build an animation, or I can check out the animation library, which is what I'm going to do, and see for Blast. And I don't know. Charlie. These are all of the, maybe this looks like a Cylon back and forth, or that's scanning. It's a little different than scanning. So let's play that one. That's just sort of from one side to the other. I guess the scanning back and forth right now, it sort of looks like a Cylon. So I'm just going to close it, and I'm not going to change the scanning animation for right now. I'm just going to go with what it is. But obviously, there's a lot of coding tools that'll let me put any grid design that I possibly could ever want to put on this thing, and that's a 5x5 picture, so we're good. So I've got his head built. Display activated. If you chose the Blast scanning animation, Blast should look like it does in the video above, which I'm sure is just showing the dots going from left to right, which it is. And you can open and close this window using the button to the right, and I agree. If I want to if I got a lot of code and I want to get rid of that, that's how I do that. Make your own animations. It's just talking about open the animation block and try choosing another animation from the library, which I already did. And you can also design your own animation with the animation editor, which I'm going to skip for right now because that's a whole lesson in itself, and I want to get more robot built. All right, so bring Blast to life. Start build Blast body and test that the mechanism works. Oh, there's the differential. I can't wait to build it. So now it's asking me to go in and build Blast body, and there are 60 steps here, and I'm pretty quick, and I'm all about building robots, but you know, you got to find the part to build the step, so that's gonna take a little bit of time. I don't know if, like I said, I think we are down to, I'm not going to get this done before robotics club meets today, and that's okay. That is not a showstopper.